Hey guys, it's Jason here. So I got a reply on my video the other night when I was trying to show my voltage. This is my battery voltage. And yes, I am running my man cave off of my batteries, and so the batteries are always lower because there's a draw on them. But anyway, this guy replied on my videos, and he's saying he was a third-year electrical engineer student. So I thought, well, maybe he just didn't understand my system. Okay, here's my wind power coming in off of this shunt is one of them, and then off of that other shunt comes up, goes to here. This is a battery isolator. This is a 70 amp one. It splits it. You know that power always takes the path of least resistance, which most of the time is grid ties. But what I was showing in my video is that even when the grid ties were going, putting out upwards of 200 watts or so into my house, I was still getting, because these grid tie inverters are not 100% efficient, I was still getting leak back going into my batteries and charging my batteries at the same time. And that's what I was trying to show, is that yes, my system right now, most of the power goes straight to the grid ties, which is the way I want it. And then but you know, the grid ties take a little bit to kick on and off. They'll you know, they could take up to, like, I don't know, I think it's around 20 seconds or so, depending on how much incoming voltage it is. But so while these guys are working on turning on that power, instead of just letting the RPM of the turbine just spin up and up and up, that power is going into the batteries. So it's always keeping a load on my turbines all the time. And then when the grid tie inverters finally kick on, the power just automatically goes straight to the path of least resistance, which is usually grid tie inverters. And now the grid tie inverters, I'm using 12-volt system, so I'm amp heavy. I have a lot of amps, but my voltage usually stays around 15 volts on my volt gauge here. And so you know, it would probably go over that if I unhooked the batteries, but the batteries actually help regulate the voltage of my system. They're kind of like a voltage regulator. And then, you know, the grid ties themselves also help regulate my system. But anyway, I'm trying to explain a little bit here so the third-year electrical engineer could understand what's going on here, so he may not be quite so harsh when I was trying to show him that because these grid tie inverters are not 100% efficient, some of that power was being backed up and going into my batteries at the same time the grid tie inverters were running. So what that means is that my system here is actually more efficient running batteries and a grid tie inverter system at the same time, because some of the power that is not being absorbed into the grid tie inverters would otherwise be lost if I just had grid tie inverters hooked up to it. But instead of that extra power that's not being absorbed, just being, you know, vanishing away, that's actually trickling into my batteries. And then, you know, while your turbines are spinning up and then waiting for the grid tie inverters to turn on, that power is going into my batteries. As long as that power, incoming power, is higher than what the battery voltage is. And you see right here, I'm drawing off of my batteries on my my man cave right there, travel trailer. I just call it my man cave. That's where I hang out most of the time, because that's the reason I bought it, so I don't have to go inside and play with my niece all the time. It drives me nuts. sometimes. You know, she's cool, but she drives me nuts. But anyway, and then that's what I'm doing here is I'm experimenting with my system, and I thought if I tried to explain it a little better, maybe that guy would understand what I was trying to show in that video. That yes, it's supposed to be getting windy tonight, but we'll see. But yeah, what I was trying to show is that yes, the grid tie inverters do not absorb all of the incoming power. Some of that power is still going right back into my batteries. Just using this, you can pick these up at auto parts stores or whatever. They're for 12 volts. They might make them for 24 volts. I don't know. But yeah, I'm using 12 volt system. It's heavy on amps, not as much on volts, incoming volts. But you know, and then you know, if the power goes out and the grid tie is turning off, all that power that was going over to them is now going straight into my batteries. And then that's why I got the charge controller here and dump load to keep my batteries from overcharging. And so yeah, that's how my system works. I've tried to explain this before in other videos, but I'll just try this one. I think I did a better job this time. I don't know. Alright, so hopefully that clears up any of the confusion. Alright, bye guys. Thanks for watching.